Okay, well, hello everyone. Buenas tardes. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on a Friday. We know that there is so much on all of our minds, things that we saw, that we witnessed this week, but we greatly appreciate that you're taking the time to learn about the elections that are happening right now. But more than anything, I wanted to take a moment for those of you who may not uh, know me personally or my colleagues. I wanted to take a moment just to introduce myself and my friend Amy. We will be co-facilitating our session today. Again, my name is Arcela Nunez-Alvarez. I live in San Marcos. I've lived here most of my life, and I am very interested in doing work that promotes inclusivity, that promotes our democracy, and that brings us together as a people and as a community. So today I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to share the time with a great colleague, organizer, activist, and human rights advocate who's doing amazing work with our indigenous communities, and not only here in the area, but obviously throughout the region. So I would like to begin by having my friend Amy introduce herself, and then we'll walk you through why we are getting involved in this process that is actually very new to me because I didn't even know it existed, and what that means and why we're doing it. But I will pass the word to my friend, Amy.
Thank you, Arcela. That's a very kind introduction. um, no tung Amy Admayaka, no washnai, no payonkawish, no kwam Joseph Morales, Della Kolb, and Marcella Mason. My name is Amy Admire, and I am from the Rincon Indian Reservation. My grandparents are Joseph Morales, Della Kolb, and Marcella Mason. And I also am very new to this process. I know we're going to talk more about why we're in this race, but I did not know this existed either. But I've been sharing and encouraging our young people to get involved in these spaces. And so when I found out this existed, this candidacy and opportunity to advocate further for our people, I decided to run. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. So as we think about, why we are doing this again, I've seen a lot of information, and for me, especially after having witnessed what we saw with the siege, the desecration of the People's Building, at the Capitol, um, the the divisiveness, right, that we see all around us. For me, participating in this process, like the ADEM election, is one that I'm really looking forward to. It's been a learning experience because I think that all of us, no matter where we are in the country, where we're coming from, what languages we speak. This is part of our opportunity to participate in the civic life of our communities. And that's what I'm hoping, that more people will learn about what this is all about, why it's important. And folks that might even be members of the Democratic Party, but they didn't know these elections are happening, or that we have the opportunity to actually have a say in who makes decisions within the party. So I've been learning a lot, and I want to share what we are learning. Thinking about who we are in our stories. I think that for us individually, the fact that we are stepping up into a space that we haven't been at before, um, for me, it means that this is an opportunity to represent and to be a representative of a community where I live, where I work. And so I wanted to ask Amy to share a little bit about what motivated her to take this step, to decide to participate, in the business of the party of organizing. Amy, any thoughts that you want to share about what is motivating you to get involved in our community?
Well, that's a big question, but the driving force for me is always our young people, always. But when I heard that you could represent your area, I started thinking again how I've been asking our young people to get involved. And, um, when I started to look at where the district is and what that area is, this area, District 75, is part of our traditional homelands for our Payom people. And, I try to get our young people to think outside of the reservation. Yes, the reservation is our land, but so is all the land surrounding the reservation. And if we want to protect it and we want to have a say in what goes on our homelands, then we need to get involved in these spaces. We need to have, participate in the voting process. We need to make other lawmakers and legislatures, right, aware of what's happening out here. And so that's the primary reason. I was really excited when I heard that we would get to let people know and let people hear what's happening out here in our area. And again, just thinking broader, that this whole area for the young people is our part of our homelands, and I want to be part of that, the process of taking care of it and of having a say in what happens to it and what happens to the people who live on our homelands. Um, and we want to, I also want to, like you say, we want to promote unity within all the people who share space on our homelands, right? We want to work with other communities in lifting them up. And we also want to find and build ways to lift our community up as well. And I think we want people to know, what's happening in our community so that they can support us. And we want to learn what's happening in the larger community, so we can support them too. And so I feel like this is a really good way for us to learn from others as well. Not just about the political arena, but what's happening with you all. Like you mentioned, the citizenships that are happening, and sometimes we don't always hear about these things because we're out here and that's not so much part of our population, but we want to know and we want to learn more about the other communities too that are in our district.
Yeah, so thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that. Like my friend Amy, I too have been involved in my community ever since I can remember. I've been an advocate and working with Latino families, with immigrants. I've been very interested in ensuring that we have access to education, to support, and to resources. And so for me, this is another space that we are opening up because even though the Latino community in North County, especially in San Marcos, Escondido, Fallbrook, and the areas around the reservations, we comprise in some of these areas about half of the population, and yet we are a community that hasn't had the political representation where you know, elected officials don't look like us, where they don't speak Spanish, they don't understand our history. And so for me, deciding to, you know, run for this position to be a delegate, I take it very seriously because it is an opportunity that very few people from my community have had. And I understand that we are breaking ground. We are opening a pathway to expand our democracy and to make sure that we have a voice in who is representing us, even within the Democratic Party. And so I very much look forward to meeting other folks. And as Amy was talking about, we are in an area that has been demarcated as Assembly District 75. So this area includes San Marcos, Escondido, Fallbrook, Valley Center, Pala, Palma, all the way up into Temecula. And for me, the fact that I live in this area and have lived here for many, many years, almost 40, is important because as Amy was talking about, the community itself, the land, the culture, the history, you know, oftentimes doesn't get recognized. And I think that having folks that know the community, that have lived here, that understand the needs not only of the people, but also of the land, you know, will be really important as we identify representatives that will have a lot of power to make decisions for us. So we are seeking to represent our communities within this area known as Assembly District 75 or AD 75. And just like we are trying to represent our community, the elections are happening statewide. So these are happening throughout the state of California. And again, this is what I've learned. I was not aware of this process even a year ago. It's been thanks to friends like Michelle Krug that has taken the time to be a great teacher, to walk us through this process, you know, to show us like where there are opportunities where we can participate. So I'm very thankful for that. We've had other friends, you know, that have stepped up and have said, hey, have you all considered doing this? So individuals who are registered within the California Democratic Party, we have the opportunity, and I would say the responsibility, to elect individuals from our community that will then be part of an assembly or a delegation that will represent us within the party. So that's, you know, that's sort of what these elections are all about. It's about getting people from our community to be elected to represent our community within the assembly district where we live. And the role of the delegates, you know, it's kind of technical, but at the same time, I've learned that it's actually quite simple. The delegates are folks that vote on who candidates will be and will be very involved in the business aspect of the party. So they make decisions around endorsements and, you know, attend meetings that are important because that's where decisions are being made within the party, where resources go, who our candidates will be. So I look forward to learning more about kind of this process myself. And then I wanted to invite Amy to share a little bit with us. So knowing that there are, you know, these delegates that are being selected, the people are voting for them, if she could kind of walk us through the process of how do people participate? Like, you know, what's the process? And we have a couple of slides just to guide us through. But Amy, what have you learned about this process?
So I've learned that, like the slide says, you must be a registered voter. You must be a registered Democrat, which I'm not clear on why you cannot be a Republican and vote for a Democrat, but in the assembly, for the assembly delegate, that you must be a registered Democrat. I've learned also, which I didn't know, that if you're not a registered Democrat, because I have some friends who are independents, that you can go into sdvote.com and change your vote or register as a Democrat and then vote. And then if you would like to re-register as an independent or whatever your status was before, you can do that as well. And you can register to vote at ademcadem.org if you want to vote for the assembly delegate, and then you will receive a mail-in ballot. You must also live in Assembly District 75. So that is what I know. Again, and there you can vote for up to 14 candidates. I believe there's 34 candidates running in our district. You're shaking your head, so yes.
Yes.
So prayerfully, Arcela and I will be two of those 14 assembly delegates. With your help, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amy. So I also, you know, have learned that this year in particular, there's been a lot of interest from the community to have, you know, folks that we have a very diverse pool of candidates. Like Amy said, we have 34 community members from Assembly District 75 who are running and who would like to be delegates and to represent our region. And so to learn more about who these individuals are, you know, there is a website that Amy mentioned, and we can take you to that page, but you'll be able to see who the candidates are. There is a brief history about the candidates, why they're running. And so you definitely have the opportunity to choose the individuals that you think would best represent you and your community. And in the end, 14 delegates will be selected depending on who gets the most votes. This time around, it is a little bit different from what I've learned, because in the past, the election would happen in person. There would be locations where people actually would be able to go walk in and vote. Because of COVID, the entire election is happening by mail. So that makes it, you know, in some ways easier, but also if folks don't know, there's the opportunity that they could miss some of the deadlines. So people will receive a mail ballot. They have the opportunity to select the 14 candidates from that list, return it. There will be an envelope that's already stamped, and then folks will need to return it. So I wanted to share just a couple of dates that are key. Folks that already registered, that know this process, that have been involved, who have voted, know that the ballots have already started to go out. So since January 2nd, some people throughout the state of California that were already registered to vote knew about this process, signed up early. So some of them might have already voted. But for the majority of people, especially people that I know, it's been a lot of work, because many of my friends, family, community members they've never participated in this process before. So they don't even know why we have delegates, what do they do? And then if they do want to participate, it has taken a lot of time to do education with them, to walk them through the process, to let them know that this is an online registration. Um, People who may not feel comfortable using computers again, it's a challenge. And then it's a very quick turnaround. So we are recommending that people return their ballots by January 20th, because the last day, and it's really not even a last day, but ballots must be received at the PO box of the California Democratic Party, must be received by January 27th. So any ballots that arrive after the date, it's not a postmarked or anything like that. It must be at the PO box by January 27th. If it doesn't arrive by that date, even after all the work that people go through, it won't get counted. And so we want to make sure again that individuals understand how important it is to keep track of these dates. And if they are registering right now, because we are helping many people register for the first time. So then they'll have to wait for the ballot, fill it out. Most likely they might have some questions about other candidates. So we do have a list of candidates. Again, there are 34 in our assembly district who are running to be delegates in this district. And you can find more information at the adem.cadem.org, and they can look for more information here. And Michelle, I see your hand. Let me just get through one more slide and then I'll pass it on to you. We are part of a great group of community members who are running for, again, these positions within our district. So ideally, we would love that you take a look at these candidates. We are part of progressive kind of unity team, and you see the folks here. You can look up more information about them. Amy, would you like to add anything here? And then we'll pass it on to Michelle.
Oh, I just wanted to recognize that we do have one of the candidates in the room from this progressive unity team, Danielle, and she's putting in the links that you can visit to learn more about the delegates. And I want to say, I'm sorry, it's hard to watch the chat at the same time, but I know she put some links in there for you all that you can copy paste or visit to learn more about the candidates and the election itself. Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, okay, so we'll have, thank you, Amy, and we'll have Michelle, and then Danielle, you're more than welcome to introduce yourself right after Michelle. Yeah, Michelle.
Hi, I'm really glad you guys are doing this, and I'm thrilled at the number of people that are stepping up. And every time someone steps up, they're educating a whole nother broad scope of their own internal network. I wanted to just suggest that I've just been telling everybody, as soon as they get their ballot, fill it out, send it back that same day. I mean, I'm kind of not wanting them to think that they can wait until whatever day to send it back, because we all know it gets lost on the kitchen table, under all the mail, et cetera, et cetera. So I just would strongly suggest, as soon as you get it, fill it out. You have time now to do your research. You can check out the candidate list, their statements, their videos, and make your decision so that you're ready. And then just to send it out. The other thing is that when you go to that site, the adem.cadem.org, and you apply for your ballot, there are some complications for some people. So I just don't get discouraged. Your vote will count. You will get your ballot. So what happens is sometimes there's just a glitch. So I tell people, please just go ahead and try it 2 more times. If it doesn't work by the 3rd time, go to sdvote.com, which is our county register of voters, and go to check my registration and just check what does it say there for how you registered. So you might have used, a friend of mine didn't remember that she had used her middle name. So Maria Guadalupe, she hadn't remembered that. So I'm just saying that it doesn't hurt to check there. Also, the system seems to have some challenges with hyphenated last names. So sometimes you just have to leave the hyphen out, and that will make it work. If all of this still doesn't get the results of getting you a screen that says, congratulations, you have been successful in registering to get your ballot, and gives you a ballot number, if that doesn't happen, because you should get that immediately, and then you should get an email confirming that very shortly after that as well. If that isn't happening, just email adem@cadem.org, adem@cadem.org. And they have been really good at immediately calling people. I mean, if you want a phone call, I always tell everybody, and Arcela and Ami will testify to this, write your name, your phone number, your email every single time to make it easy for the folks that you're asking for help. So they will call you and they'll walk it through. If someone is in the situation where they have changed their registration, perhaps they've moved, perhaps they are changing their party, take a screenshot. Because if you take the screenshot, even though it may take 2, 3, 5 days to get it in the system, the party will accept the screenshot. They will probably check it later because, you know, as was emphasized, January 11th, which is this Monday, is the very last day to ask for your ballot. So, but take a screenshot, just make it easy for the workers up at the California Democratic Party. But don't be afraid to call them or email them at the adem@cadem.org. And they both have my phone numbers. Feel free if you're somehow not getting an answer. I'm happy to help with that as well. That's all.
Thank you, Michelle, as always, for sharing all that great information and those updates. So I would like to also offer our support that if you are assisting anyone trying to register to request a ballot and you have any issues and you need some support, especially if it's like a Spanish speaker. I know we do have one of our community educators, Marta, here that has been helping a lot of folks. You know, so we have people in the community that might be able to walk individuals through the registration process. We just would need to know and get the contact information for the individuals that need the support. So just in case that comes up and you need extra support.
And I'd like to thank you too, Miss Michelle.
Yeah,
Thank you. I did have people run into problems and now I know what to tell them. Thank you.
Yeah, it even took me a couple of tries because of my hyphenated last name. So it actually didn't take my hyphen. So when I signed up, it recognizes the last name or the name exactly. It has to be exactly as it shows up on your voter registration form. So exactly when you register to vote. And so some folks may forget, but I had to try a few times. I didn't give up. It took me a little bit to get it through, but finally got the confirmation that it recognized me, that I am an eligible voter, and then you'll get an email with that. But I think these are some of the technical issues with folks that like those like in my family or in my community where we are not as familiar with the process. So it does take a little bit more time, more support, more education to get our family members and friends to participate in these elections. I wanted to give a couple of minutes to Danielle since you were able to join us so that you can share a little bit of information about yourself, why you decided to run, and yeah, people would love to meet you.
Hi, my name is Danielle Polson, and I use she, her pronouns. And I'm living in Escondido, and I am relatively new to San Diego County. But when I moved here, I got involved with the Sunrise Movement, which is a youth organization that is pushing the Green New Deal to get good jobs for a clean, livable future for all of us and not just a select few. So yeah, I have been interested in this sort of thing for a while, but like definitely was not involved with the Democratic Party, or like I also didn't know about the ADEMs at all. I was asked to join like the day before the deadline to register was. So I definitely took like a big blind leap of faith, and I'm really glad I did because I met Arcela and Ami and the rest of our slate, and so far you're making it really easy to feel like I have the ability to represent and enact better change. But personally, I really care about our schools and education in general, but specifically food and food access, because I've worked in the schools before, and as I'm sure many of you know, like that is the lifeline for a lot of kids in many, many ways. And I just really, it's been really hard for a lot of people right now with schools being inconsistent and not knowing where that food might come from. And that's just heartbreaking when we have an abundance of food that is being let rot in many places. So yeah, I also want to work on more housing and getting affordable, healthy, livable, not just like whatever shack someone decides to offer you, good housing for our people. And yeah, and a Green New Deal as well. But those are the two immediate things that I'm most concerned about. I see it almost every day, people struggling, and they don't need to be when, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I have a loss for words with the state of everything, but I'm also incredibly inspired and motivated by the people that I'm working with, because you're all doing incredible work and it needs to be done, and we need to galvanize more support around it. And so that's what I'm here to do, hopefully. Yeah, I don't like to think of myself as a politician in any way, but yeah, if you have any questions or like you wanna give me a suggestion, I'm open to it. Please reach out with anything.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for not only for joining us, for being here, for being part of this progressive team, but above all, and I think one of the exciting things for me that I've seen, and it just warms my heart and brightens my day, is just to see so many young people like yourself, like stepping up and stepping into these spaces with great ideas. I think a lot of energy and a great concern for the state of our humanity. So I think that's great. And likewise, if there's anything that we can do to continue to support, work that you're doing, I've learned that I have so much in common with people that I have been meeting along the way. And so it has been great to connect with so many different folks that I would have never connected with otherwise. So I'm grateful for that. Amy, any thoughts on your end? And then we can open it up for questions.
I'm just really grateful and thankful to you, Danielle, for joining us today and for your thoughts. I think you're right. I even wrote it down that you said that schools are a lifeline for our children in many ways. We just had a intense meeting with our Title VI and members of our school district last night, and getting them to understand the importance, of their role that they play in our children's lives. It can be frustrating sometimes. And so yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. And I appreciate the work that you do. And like Arcela said, anything we can do, we're always here, just reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I think we still have a few minutes. If you all would like to share, first of all, do we have any other candidates? I know sometimes it's hard to see that list, but we'll open it up for any questions or for any other candidates who might be with us. If you want to raise your hand, and then we'll call on you. Anyone? I don't see any hands. So if there are no additional questions, Michelle, okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, where do you see this going, like from here? What is it that you are most excited about being able to do, as far as, number one, obviously educating your own circles of people about what this process means, but I'm just wondering how you see it moving forward. Like, I know, Arcela, for example, you're going to be very connected with redistricting. I know Amy is going to be very connected with the Valley Center School District and the impact aid and Title VI into the Native communities. I'm just wondering how you see the connection and what makes you excited about moving forward with this. And how are you going to win?
Well, I can begin, and I think that's a really good question, Michelle. One, because I think that we are entering into it is a challenging phase with the environment around racism and sort of white supremacy that we're going to be confronting, where 74 million people might not think like we do in our country. And so what happens with that? There's a lot of division, but the way that I see our work unfolding and what's exciting for me is that we have the opportunity to do in North County and especially in Assembly District 75 what Miss Stacey Abrams did in Georgia and really building that infrastructure for civic participation, not just voting, because voting is sort of one-time action, but really building people power, having resources that support our community, an educated constituency that is able to hold elected officials accountable, where we're able to advocate for propositions, for policies that really have our community as a priority. So I see a lot of intersections. I see so many great ideas coming forward. And I think a space like within the Democratic Party is a natural place to have some of these conversations because of the infrastructure that is already in place and the power that we have to reach people. I hope to win again by reaching individuals in my community that have not participated before, helping people understand a process that has been here, but it's an insider's process. It's an insider's game. And those of us that have been left out of the process altogether, you know, like this is new. It is new terrain for so many of our community members. And so helping to build awareness about it and leadership, so that in the end and maybe the next time around, you know, we have more candidates that are grassroots, that are from my community, that will be able to step up and, you know, we'll have that mentorship to be able to walk people through a process like this one. So I see a lot of opportunities and intersections. Amy, what do you see?
Everything you said. Yes, just everything that you said. Also, being Native, we are raised to not see ourselves in these spaces. You know, a lot of our young people feel even, you know, we're still trying to lift up our young people. We're still trying to tell them they're even worthy of having a vote, of having a voice, of taking space. We're still trying to tell them you're worthy of taking space on your own lands. And so I'm hoping to inspire the young people, like you say, and see more of our people being represented in this way, and being candidates, you know, in the future, but not in the far future, in the very near future, right? Next year, or the next 2 years, right? This is a 2-year term. So I'm really hoping to inspire the young people. And also, again, as a Native person, we have a different system of government here. And it excludes some of our members from running for positions where we can actually affect change in our communities. And so this is one of the ways that some of the members of our community can have a voice if they're not able to participate in their own tribal governments. And I think that's really important too for our community and our young people to know that there are other ways and means for them to have their voices heard, and to represent, like I said in the beginning, to represent their homes and their lands and their people, and work with other people. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Arcela, it's Maria. I don't know
Yeah.
how to raise my hand, but I have a question for
Like this.
for you and for the candidates. Buenas tardes a todos. Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know, I'm Maria Nunez. Arcela and I are sisters. We do quite a bit of work together. We do quite a bit of community work and collaboration. And I'm not a registered Democrat, and I don't intend to change my registration to vote for Arcela and the other progressive candidates. Does that mean I can't help you? Does that mean I can't be involved in this process? How can I help? How can I make this possible?
I think that's a really good question. And again, it goes back to some of the early part of our conversation, right? That for many of us, being a part of the party, being a part of the institution, participating in these kinds of formal ways has never been the way that we do our community advocacy. Most of our work has really happened outside of the party, but at the same time, knowing that many of our advocates, of our allies are within the party. And so I think the question that you're raising, Maria, especially around how do we organize across and beyond the party within our spaces. So I think that there's opportunity for everybody to participate and sort of be educated. This is kind of one part of the way that advocacy happens, especially around endorsements, within the party structure, but inviting others to participate. And ultimately, I think it is also about helping us to hold the party and leadership of the party and elected officials within the party accountable to our community, because so many of us support candidates, even if we're not Democrats, including yourself. And so I think it is building that space to be able to provide input, whether it's, criticism of a way that things are happening. But I think you can definitely be an important part of the process and of our elections. Michelle, I know you want to add something extra, and then we'll have Amy.
I totally want to address my favorite council, all of San Diego County, Councilwoman Maria Extraordinaire. That question just cuts to the core of us as people and what us feeling our voice and our ability to make that change. So how about a 15-year-old that wants to make sure that their school, as happened in San Diego, doesn't go back into Balboa Park? There were 2,000 high schoolers that did phone banking for 2 or 3 months, almost every night, to make sure that a proposition that was in San Diego, Proposition I, several years ago, didn't pass. That's whether people are documented, whether they're not, we always have a way. We always have our sphere of influence. And I always want to encourage everybody to use that sphere. You might have to figure out how to use it, but we all can help on campaigns. We all can talk to the people that we do know. I appreciated that when you were talking about this whole activity is going on throughout the whole state of California. So if you don't happen to live in Assembly District 75, you live in Oceanside, you can then do the same process for 76. So I think just us kind of looking beyond our own little sphere and seeing how we have an effect in a broader region, and how who we are can help better the quality of life for all that is around us, both from the microcosm into the grander regional aspect.
Thank you, Michelle. Amy, would you like to add anything about sort of how folks like Maria and others who are not registered within the party, how they can still be part, or is there a place, you know, to collaborate and move agenda forward?
Again, your guys, you know, you explain it well, I think, and you all have more experience than I do, especially working with people who, like Maria, do not wish to join a party. I too have friends I cannot convince to even register to be a voter because they do not trust the system. But they can help by promoting our you know, our views. They can help by, you know, simply reposting, you know, right? Simple things like that. So that's how I've been asking them to help our campaign. And again, just not being a member of the same party doesn't mean we can't work together. We're definitely still doing the work together. You know, my colleague and I work by each other's side every single day, 12 to 16 hours a day, and she's not a member of the Democratic Party. But we still do the work together. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Amy. And again, as we've been talking about, for some of us, this is kind of breaking ground because we have not done some of our organizing in all the same spaces. And so I hope that it opens up that opportunity to see how we do work beyond party lines, understanding that this particular race is within the party, but it doesn't contain all the work that we do, right? So as individuals, maybe as organizations, as a team, we're all doing work that crosses multiple spaces. And hopefully those spaces open up even more, because it's true. Like, a lot of people in my family won't even be able to vote for me because, you know, they have not been Democrats. And they haven't been Democrats because the Democratic Party hasn't done a good job reaching out and making us feel included and still making us feel like we're a part of it. So there's a lot of work to be done. I think if we're like wrapping up, there's a lot of work to be done. I don't do my work for the party or any specific politician or anything like that. Like, I just feel that I need to be accountable back to the community where I live, where I work, where I, you know, support. And I want my community and the people around me to feel like they are able to participate in the civic life of our community, to make decisions. So for me, it's more than just, you know, doing work within the party. Okay, any other, I don't see any other hands, but an hour has gone by, and we don't want to take a lot of your time. We do want to again extend the invitation for people who are able to participate in this process, who are eligible voters, which means you would have to be a US citizen, you're registered to vote, you have access to a computer or somebody that can help you register. And so we want to invite all of us to continue to do that education in our community. And hopefully, you know, in February, we're able to report back and let you know that Amy and I and Danielle and so many of the other great folks on the progressive team have gained the votes that we need to be part of this assembly. And so we thank you in advance for what you are contributing, making that possible. And then we'll have concluding remarks by Amy and Michelle, and then we'll close our meeting for today. Amy?
I have a very quick clarification.
Yes.
I am blind, for those of you who don't know me. So, and I do not have a computer. And yes, I could have gotten some friends to help me, but I just wanted to be independent. And so I called up the party. That is part of the agreement, that since we are having this as virtual, and in the past, it's always been a physical location where somebody could help someone fill out the paperwork. So they filled it out for me. They have ordered my ballot, and they also gave me the opportunity that if I needed, just by telephone, and they gave me the opportunity that if I wanted them to fill out my ballot, that is an option as well. I just had to do all of this by January 11th. But please let people know they can actually call the party. That's another option, and not worry about having a computer or having the broadband.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for updating us on that, and for sharing that that's possible. Amy, any comments to close us?
I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And I know that when we rebroadcast, everyone will be able to listen to how to vote and who can vote. But if you are a registered Democrat, or you can register as a Democrat to vote for this Assembly delegates in the Assembly District 75, also to check out the links to the Inland Progressive young people also running. And I just want to also, if there's any Native and Indigenous folks who will be watching this too, remind y'all that we as a population did not gain citizenship till 1924. Maria talked about our responsibility to our community and to be in these spaces. I think that's really important. My grandmother had her citizenship paper in her bureau. I always remember that. She was really proud to just be recognized as a human being. And so I want to share that with you. We were also the last people given the right to vote. And that was really at the organizing efforts of the Navajo people and the Navajo warriors in particular in World War II, who wrote to the president at the time saying, if we're going to fight in this war for you, we need to be able to vote in elections like everyone else. And so I want to leave this space today honoring them for their organizing and for their efforts, so that Native people could have the right to vote, not till the 1960s, but it was due to their efforts and attention to the need for us to have the vote. So thank you.
That's a great way to end our meeting today. Thank you so much to all of you who took the time to join us. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to look us up, follow us on our social media, Facebook pages, and with Progressive Unity, hopefully you're able to support our whole team. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your day, and please help us get the word out. So buenas tardes.
Ojo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks for helping us step up, Miss Michelle.
You did it. It's all you're doing, Michelle.
I think that's what Maria says.
Yeah, she's not happy with you.
Okay.
I'm still here. I'm still here,
She's
Michelle.
still here, Michelle.